How's it going, everybody? Welcome back to Mojo Grip Mike here. Beautiful winter day. Today we actually have some sunlight. It's been a bit gloomy here, but I wanted to talk to you, or just freestyle talk to everybody about what I'm up to. And Happy New Year to everyone if I haven't said it already. The last 3 years I've been working on a secret project, so I've been keeping this away from most people. If you're not in my circle, you would know about this. And those of you who know me actually know that I'm always up to something or trying to build a product that solves a problem. And since I've been in the aviation space, it's been the same thing. So back in 2019, when I was first getting my kit to build this airplane, I had several people approach me, pilots, and they approached me as they asked me basically if I wanted a partnership in building this plane, or once the airplane is finished, would they be able to get access to it? And initially I didn't entertain the idea, and I would say no, but as it happens, I started to consider this idea of having a partner on this airplane. And I know other pilots who are in a partnership or in a club when it comes to their plane. I'm giving this background story because that's where the idea first came about, is this given access basically. So since I've finished building this airplane, again, the same thing, I've had pilots who basically tell me, hey, I don't even want to own the airplane, I don't want to be a partner in the airplane, I just need access to an airplane that I can fly or take my family on a trip, things like that. And so since then I started building this product, and right now the platform is already finished. We have a website and also a mobile application for it. But I wanted to make this video, one, to talk to you about it, but also to do a little bit of research, because I've been guilty in the past of trying to solve a problem that didn't really exist, right? And I don't want to make that mistake again. So here are the problems that I'm trying to solve with this. Okay, I wanted to create a place where folks can go to and get access to an aircraft that they wouldn't otherwise. And by folks, I really mean the general population. So when you think about it, for most of us, if we are traveling, say a couple of 100 miles, or say 1,000 miles, we either get in our cars and we drive, or generally we get a commercial airline ticket and we fly somewhere. That's how most people travel. But one thing that happened recently with the pandemic is that we've seen so many ups and downs, one in the airline industry, but also with every traveler. So even today I'm heading out of town and we got a notification of some flights being canceled. And unfortunately, this past holiday, a lot of families didn't get to see one another. One, we still have a pandemic going on, but also a lot of flights were canceled. And the reason being that the pandemic has caused a shortage in one, pilots, and also just workers and hostesses and things like that. So a lot of industry, particularly the airline industry, has been hit really hard. But also one thing you understand if you've ever flown commercial is that you have to go through a security check. It could be a hassle, but it's a given. You can't really escape that. And for most of us, when we go through a security check, you gotta be in line for however long, take your shoes off, take your belt. Like, I traveled so much before I got this plane. I traveled so much that I already knew, one, how to pack light, and also most times when I travel, I don't wear a belt and I wear like a shoe or whatever shoe I have on. It's easy that I can slip in and out of it, because when I get to the security check, I have to take all these things off, right? So these are things that are a given, which also means that you have to get to the airport maybe 2 hours early in order to make your flight. But what the pandemic has done is you've now seen a rise in folks traveling privately. Now, obviously, this is particular to people who can afford to, say, charter a private plane or charter a plane together. Now, there's also been an uprise of different platforms where you can basically buy a seat or join like a membership club with these private clubs, right? But nonetheless, is that the access is still limited and it's still very expensive. And a lot of these platforms, you have to pay like a membership fee, and we're talking like thousands of dollars, $20,000, $50,000. But to cut the long story short, I started to think, okay, how can we resolve this problem where we can get people access to planes, and people who generally don't even think this is an option. Now, what I wanted to do in this video was to, one, introduce this concept to you, but also talk directly to pilots and pilots who also own or have access to an airplane. If there was a platform right now, if it existed today, where you can take your plane, just say like this Sling TSI, or if you fly a Cessna 172 or Cessna 182, you can take that plane and lease it to another pilot who needs access to an airplane. Again, another problem that the pandemic has caused is it's really driven the prices of everything in aviation up. And so you had, say, someone who was saving $30,000 or $40,000 before the pandemic hit, and they thought they'll be able to get themselves a nice airworthy airplane, and then boom, COVID hit, and then they realized that their $40,000 couldn't even buy a Snicker bar at the store. So this is another problem that I think we can resolve. So for folks who need access to an airplane, and I'm talking about pilots like myself, if you are in a space right now where you're looking to buy an airplane, obviously you want to check out aeroavion.com if you're looking to buy an airplane. But let's assume that perhaps you don't have $50,000 or you don't have $100,000 to be able to buy your own airplane. Let's assume that you are that person and perhaps you need access to an airplane and you have a couple of $1,000 saved up that you were looking to purchase. I want to introduce the idea of possibly leasing an airplane rather than buying one. One, you save yourself the cost of ownership and you don't have to worry about anything, maintenance and anything like that. And insurance is also covered, you'd be covered. Now on the flip side, for you aircraft owners, obviously I don't know what your financial situation is. The solution that this will create for folks who own their own airplane is, rather than your airplane sitting or you're carrying all of the costs on your own, have you thought about the possibility of leasing that airplane to other pilots who needs it or who needs access to an airplane? Okay, again, giving an example, let's say you own a Cessna 172 or a Cessna 182, and in reality most pilots fly their airplane 50 to 100 hours every year. That's a fraction of time. What that typically means is that that plane is just sitting for most of the year, but you still have all those fixed costs, aka your insurance, your hangar fees, your maintenance, your annual, that you still have to pay for. So in a real world situation, rather than your airplane just sitting in the hangar, what if you have pilots who would pay for the access to that airplane? And you are able to set your hourly costs based on your expenses. You can calculate it, right? And so this is how it would work. You have a Cessna 172. You have a platform now where you can go to, you list that airplane for lease, dry lease, meaning someone is going to pay you X amount of dollars on an hourly basis to get access to that plane. Okay, so let's say you list the airplane for $175 an hour, and then what happens is a pilot who's local to you needs to fly, and so rather than them going to a flight school or joining a club, whatever have you, they get access to your plane, and there's a 10-hour minimum. So that means that they have to prepay a minimum amount. This is just an example. So what happens now is that the app will connect both of you. The app collects the payment on your behalf, and you get to meet your local pilot, who is now the person who's leasing your airplane. Obviously, you want to do the due diligence of making sure that they know how to fly an airplane, their license, ratings, all that good stuff. And the app will also help in those with those as well. Now you have someone who is well rated, who is safe to fly the airplane, and they're also added to the insurance, right? And you would have calculated all of this, by the way, in your hourly charge. So now you have X amount of dollars to your name, meaning they've prepaid, okay, for 10 hours, and say for this first quarter, they used up their 10 hours. What that means is that's a good amount of change in your pocket. Now, assuming you may not need the money, but some of that money will help offset the cost that you have on the airplane. And not just that. So that's one problem that's being solved, is the fact that you can offset your costs, or you can even put some additional money in your own pocket. And then there's the fact that the airplane would also remain flying instead of it just sitting in the hangar. And we all know that the more an airplane flies, the longer the lifespan of that airplane. An airplane that's sitting in the hangar is likely going to get damaged or just cause you more headache than one that's flying. It's just the mechanical fact about airplanes or cars or anything you can think about. That's the solution that I'm proposing here with this. And I like to crawl before I walk, and so that's why I'm proposing this to you. Is if this type of app or platform exists today, is this something that you will use? And also I want to take y'all along on this journey, and I'll probably make updated videos on this or concerning this. So if you are interested in everything I just talked about, whether you are needing access to an airplane or you are looking to lease your airplane, again on an hourly basis, you're dry leasing the airplane on an hourly basis, I want you to just use the link in the description, and the platform is called AirMojo. So go to airmojo.io and just leave your email address and let us know what it is that you're interested in, whether you're an aircraft owner or if you are someone who needs access to an aircraft. Now, you don't have to be a pilot. Like I said initially, the big problem that I wanted to solve with this was just giving the average people, by average I mean everyday people who are not necessarily pilots or don't know how to fly an airplane, if you are that person and you travel often, or maybe you have a business or run a firm that you frequent a certain destination many or multiple times a year, and you don't necessarily want to deal with the commercial airlines anymore, just let us know if that's you. Also leave your information through AirMojo and we'll reach out to you. So that's what I wanted to talk to you about today, is this awesome thing that I've been working on, and we've already done a soft launch, and I wanted to just propose it to y'all, everyone watching. Is this something that you'd be interested in? Also, if you have an opinion or you have some experience with this in this field at all, I want you to leave in the comments below, or just reach out to me, because I can use all the feedback I can get with this. It's a big problem, and it's not one just for the pilot community, but it's one for anyone who travels, for everyday people who travel. And one thing that COVID has done for us, it's really flipped things upside down, and it's allowed us to see just some of the glaring problems, not just in the airline world, but also just with our safety. And that's another thing I didn't actually get to talk about, is the fact that in a world where we're dealing with a pandemic, when you fly privately, you don't necessarily have to deal with, you're basically more safe because you're isolated from hundreds of people, and then the chances of you being exposed to any type of virus or whatever the case may be, it's little to none. But anyway, I hope I've been able to explain this in simpler terms. And if you have any questions whatsoever, please leave in the comments. I will read the comments, or again, you can reach out to me, DM me through Instagram, or just reach out mike@mojogroup.net. Let me know what you're thinking. And again, if this is something that can create a solution for you, whether you're a pilot, whether you are an aircraft owner, or whether you do travel a lot, if you're a traveler or you have a business that needs transport back and forth, I want you to please reach out and let me know your thoughts. Okay, so that is my spiel for the day. Again, Happy New Year to everybody. I hope y'all are being safe. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification bell. Also follow Mojo Grip on Facebook. I really appreciate all the support, guys, and I will catch you all on the next video. Peace.